who all here has seen the Dummy series? It could be any book you've ever seen, but it always looks like this yellow whatever for dummies type of book. Have you guys seen this? Absolutely. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, you have some. Well, don't worry, we're all dummies at something. So, but first of all, it's a great set of books. The ones that I've owned have always been really, really helpful. But one of the things that I want to focus on is, if you walk into a bookstore, you'll see there. It seems that there's a dummies book in every section for multiple things that I would have never even thought of. But this is a huge company. They publish a lot of books. And one of the things, and Justin touched on this before, is leveraging the market research of huge companies. This is a very large company. They do incredible amounts of volume. And one thing they do is they spend a lot of money on market research. So they make sure they go out and do surveys, and they reach out to the public and find out what people really want to learn. So they're not just throwing things up against the wall and hoping, oh, I hope people are interested in buying this. There's a certain method to their madness. And so this is a big company, and I can say, well, since they spent the money, the energy, the time to figure out what people are interested in learning, why don't I just look at what they're selling and see if there's something within the category that I'm interested in that I could create a product on? And it was funny, I actually was looking through this earlier, and I'm a big sports fan, and I've never actually created a sports product, and it's something that's on my list. But when I clicked on sports and outdoors, the first thing that came up was fantasy football. This is a fantasy football product. Now, this is the perfect example of a sub niche that people are insanely passionate about and will spend money for a solution. And what I mean by a sub niche is there's sports is a niche, then there's football is a sub niche, and then there's fantasy football. And I know a lot of people that literally this consumes their life during NFL season. So if you presented some information on how to win your fantasy football league, even though it seems sort of like a random topic, oh my gosh. I mean, Justin, I think you participated in a couple of fantasy football leagues, but this is a great example of something I would have never thought of, but there's crazy passionate people about this topic.
And one thing I'd like to point out, too, is that I played fantasy football for the first time this past year. I haven't done it a lot. I don't know that much about it, to be completely honest. But I do know, Tim was talking about getting really down, whittling down to the sub-niche within the sub-niche within the sub-niche. And, within sports, there's football, then there's fantasy football. And some of you guys, if you actually have played fantasy football before, there's a lot of different leagues. Like there's a Yahoo League, or like NFL.com's fantasy football league. So I think Bud Light has a fantasy football league. So you could actually even create a product on fantasy football for the Yahoo.
Absolutely.
Football. Like really, really get down there and really get within a niche within a niche within a niche, and then you're really going to be able to capitalize on that little piece of the market share. But it might seem like counterintuitive to go after a small piece of the pie instead of the whole pie. But you have to realize when you go after that small piece of the pie, there's a lot less competition, and you have a lot more potential to really grab all of that, a lot more market share within that segment of the market share and make a lot of money ultimately.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've actually never seen a digital product on fantasy football, and I know tons of people in my life that play this like it's going out of style. So, this is just I stumbled upon this. I thought it was a great example of what we're referring to in that, you don't have to create a product of, how to lose weight. This is a niche down product that people will spend money for. They spend money to be in the league anyways, and then they're trying to win a lot more money. So you'll see actually over here, they're charging $17 for this book, but usually people are fighting for several $100s, a couple $1,000, depends on what league, if they're playing in the big ones, it could be hundreds of thousands, $1 million, whatever it may be. So this seems like a pretty good investment for the potential of, winning way more than that. And one of the things we'll talk about later on in the training is we're going to teach about how to build massive value in the product, so you can sell it for a lot more than even what this book is. That's one of the advantages to selling a digital product is, everyone, when you pick up a book, most people assume some sort of value, like, because books have been around for so long, and you pick up a book, you say, it's probably worth about $20, because that's just what books typically are. I mean, they're a little all over the place. There's some books that are more than others, but it's in that range of $20, $15, whatever. But when we create this information product, and we'll show you how to package it in a way that has extremely high perceived value, I can teach the same thing essentially that this book does and charge a lot more than $17, and people will be glad to pay for it because it's good information, and it's also the way we deliver it within our product is going to be a lot easier to understand actually than just reading a dummies book. And that's the advantage we have over dummies is we've got ways of teaching that are more effective, and we'll get into that later. But I thought that was important to pull out. So just want to check with everyone. Is this starting to open your eyes up a little bit as far as, I know everyone came on here with an idea of a niche, and a lot of great niches, and I'm not dissuading you from your original idea, but it might have you thinking about niching down a little bit more, or even choosing another niche. So yeah, it looks like someone said I may be changing my niche. That's okay, and that's the point, because the most important thing tonight is that you leave with the proper tools to go find your niche, and then next week we're going to start talking about how we put together your product. So, the reason we dedicated one whole live call to picking your niche is it's that important. And, to hammer home what Justin said before, it's really, really important to decide who you're selling to specifically. Maybe he talked about the 35-year-old woman who has 3 kids. And the reason that's important is because, and we'll get into it when we start talking about the marketing, but we're going to be speaking specifically to that person. Now, does that mean that only 35-year-old women with 3 children are going to purchase? No, but there's a lot of we're going to target them, and there's a lot of women around that demographic that are going to be like, wow, this is for me. And that's the power of really, really good marketing. And we're going to get into that, and I don't want to get too far ahead. But yeah, dummies.com, guys. If you said, Tim, you can pick one of these sites, I would pick this over ClickBank, because for me, there's a lot of different options, and I just know how successful this company is. I know how much money they put into the research. So super, super powerful. Dummies.com for sure. So we're going to jump to another tool that you guys are probably familiar with, and Justin's going to take over a little bit of training here for a minute. But who all here is familiar with the Google AdWords tool?